If you are new to Smite and like the Mage class but don't know who to play or where to start, I'm going to be going over the top 3 best mages for beginners. What's up guys, I'm Kitten of Doom, and if this is your first time here and you want to learn how to play Smite, learn about certain gods as well as some tips and tricks, then you are in the right place. If you find this video helpful and want to see more like it, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. The first god we're going to be covering is Kukulkan, and he is a Mayan mage in Smite. When I first started playing Smite, I instantly gravitated towards Kukulkan just because of how easy it was to land his abilities and position with him. He does some really high area damage, so we're going to be going over a couple of pros with Kukulkan, and those pros are that he does have high area damage. He has one of the best objective secure ultimates in the game. He has really good teamfight presence, has excellent wave clear and poke damage, and he can almost 100 to 0 someone with his ultimate ability. And some cons about Kukulkan is that he is squishy. He doesn't have a lot of defense, so you gotta position really carefully with him, and you can be caught out of position if you don't position carefully with your 2. If you are caught out with your second ability on cooldown, he can die pretty easily. Another con about Kukulkan is that he misses out on huge damage potential if you miss his ultimate, and it does take some practice to hit his ultimate, so don't worry about if you miss it a lot, you will get the hang of it. He is one of my most favorite mages to play and super beginner friendly for sure. He can be really safe with his second ability. He's pretty easy to understand and can position really well with his 2. And his ultimate can be really good if you set up with your team. If they just CC them, you can get some really good damage off. And to give you a quick overview on Kukulkan's abilities, his first ability fires a projectile breath attack that slows all enemies around the impact area. So it's a nice line projectile. His second ability gives you a speed boost that slowly scales down over time, and it cleanses himself of slows and becomes immune to slows when it's activated, so this ability can actually really help you position and get away from bad situations. His third ability is a big tornado, and if he catches any gods in it, it will keep ticking on them, so this ability does really great damage late game. It's a huge circle, easy to hit and confirm if you slow them with your 1, and it is really, really good wave clear, and he has one of the best and safest wave clears in the game. His ultimate is a really wide, long line attack, and it does a ton of damage if you are able to hit it. It also knocks up the enemies that get into the radius, and this is really one of the best objective secure ultimates in the game. Like I said before, it does a ton of damage, and if you're able to hit a bunch of gods with this, it can really turn the tides of a team fight. Kukulkan was my first ever diamond in Smite, and I enjoyed every second of playing him when I was a new beginner, so again, highly recommend Kukulkan if you haven't tried him yet. Next up we have Nuwa, and she is a Chinese mage in Smite in the Chinese pantheon. And some really good pros about her is that she has a really good and safe wave clear, has a very strong combo that can do a lot of damage, has a global ultimate that can damage every god on the other team. She can finish off kills very easily with her ultimate. She has great utility with her abilities, with her first ability because she can make herself and her team invisible, and her second ability deploys some soldiers and you can actually get some good utility off with them as well. And I will go over that in a second when we go over her abilities. She has excellent late game teamfight. She's a really good late game mage when you get some of her items and damage online. Some cons on Nuwa is that she doesn't have an escape or leap, and she has a weak early game, and her ultimate can be countered by Aegis and things like Geb Shield or Shell. For her first ability, she casts out a fog, and if she goes in this fog, her and her team can become invisible from enemies, and this can just be a really great way of getting away from enemies and also to chase down enemies since Nuwa gets increased movement speed from this. She has some safe wave clear with this. If she just drops down her fog and then her third ability, she can just walk away after clearing a wave, so this is just a really nice ability that can help give herself and her team some utility. In her second ability, she conjures some clay soldiers, And these soldiers also help with her utility. They do a lot of damage when you combo this ability with her third ability because it detonates the soldiers and it stuns enemies. These soldiers can also tank towers and objectives for you and your team. So if you don't have minions in the tower, you can just put out these soldiers to tank all of those tower shots for you. So overall, it's a really nice ability to have, and it's definitely what makes her really good. Her third ability is a projectile, and it is just pure damage. It's another great source of wave clear and poke damage, and this is the ability that you have to hit your soldiers with to detonate them. And it just does a ton of damage, stuns the enemies, and it's just a pretty simple way to do a lot of damage. For her ultimate, she goes into the air and becomes CC immune while casting it. She reveals all enemy positions on the map, and this can be really helpful just to know where they are if they're doing a big objective like Gold Fury or Fire Giant. When she's up in the air, she throws down some fire shard meteors that damage everybody on the map. So this is a really, really great ultimate to secure kills if your team isn't able to secure a kill and someone's running away. Nuwa can just pop into her ultimate and just secure that kill. This ultimate also does a ton of damage at the beginning of a fight if you want to use it that way. Late game, when she has all of her items online, it can really take a chunk out of your health. And if you need to get out of some sticky situations, she can use this ultimate for CC immunity just to get out of anything like Ares ultimate, Dodgy ultimate, and things like that. And she is immune to damage while in the air. And her passive can also combo really well into her abilities. Her passive is after 5 successful basic attacks, she roots an enemy with her basic attack, so you can root them into your combo. And that's another really great way of how she has a lot of utility as a mage. So overall, if you position really good with Nuwa, I think she's a great pick for beginners, has some really straightforward abilities, and her ultimate is super fun to use when you clean up kills. So another really great one I would recommend is Nuwa. I think you will have a ton of fun with her. And last but not least, we have Poseidon, and Poseidon is a Greek mage. And some pros about Poseidon is that he has really high damage, has great crowd control in his kit, is very strong late game, has great setup with his ultimate, has movement speed built into his abilities, and is really good in team fights. Some cons about Poseidon is that he is extremely mana hungry, has a weak early game, is squishy and needs to position carefully, and his Kraken can be easily countered by things like Aegis. And to go over some of Poseidon's abilities, in his passive he gains movement speed and his abilities do additional damage, and his passive charges. So with successful basic attacks, it increases his passive, and using abilities decreases it. In his first ability, he summons a wave that travels in a line that deals damage and pushes back enemies. So this ability can be pretty useful if you have some assassins that are on you and you're trying to get away, and is great in safe wave clear as well. His second ability, it grants him movement speed and makes his basic attacks fire 2 additional auto attacks. So this is just a really great way for him to charge up his passive and gain a little bit of movement speed if you're trying to chase down an enemy or run away from enemies. And when he fires these auto attacks, they can really do a ton of damage. Third ability, he summons a whirlpool that cripples enemies, preventing their movement abilities, and it pulls the targets towards the center. This is Poseidon's main ability that makes him really good. He can use this so that the enemy team can't jump out or dash out of his whirlpool, so he is really good against assassins or any other characters that have high mobility. And it is a big circle, so it is pretty easy to hit. Poseidon's fourth ability, he releases a Kraken that damages and slows enemies. If they are in the center of the ult, they take additional damage and are knocked up and stunned. And this is just what makes him do so much damage. He has so much setup potential if you have like an Ares, and just wait until the Ares pulls all the enemies into one area. Poseidon can just Kraken over that. Kraken really works with a lot of really great big circle ultimates that can just set you up really well. The only thing about Kraken is that it can just be completely countered by Aegis. And so just keep an eye out on when the enemy's relics are down, and then you'll be able to pretty much one-shot them with your ultimate and combo. overall, Poseidon's abilities are pretty easy to hit. I think that he will be great for beginners, and just with his built-in movement speed, it also helps out a little bit since you'll be a little faster than other mages. And that is going to wrap up this video, guys. Let me know what you think, and if you have some different opinions on what gods you think are beginner friendly or what mages you started out with. I would love to hear that. And of course, this is all my personal opinion and mages that helped me when I first started playing. I will also be doing this for every single class in SMITE, so keep an eye out for that. And thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.